Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Wednesday drawing session with me, Frank Cho. There's my trusty Pentel mechanical pencil, 0.7 millimeter lead, and my kneaded eraser. Now, I need to change out my kneaded eraser. If you use it too much, it becomes like super black and essentially turns into a lump of coal. And there's my favorite paper to draw, Strathmore Bristol Board 300 series with vellum surface. Now, I prefer the vellum surface better than the smooth surface because the vellum surface has a slight tooth which grips the pencil really well. So today I am going to draw Sasquatch from the Alpha Flight. Now, the Alpha Flight, including Sasquatch, was first created by John Byrne during his run in the legendary X-Men series. John Byrne was absolutely incredible in the X-Men series. So the first appearance of Sasquatch, I believe, was the Uncanny X-Men number 120. And Sasquatch is essentially, I guess, in the beginning was supposed to be like the Hulk. If I remember my origin story correctly, the reason why Walter Lankowski, I think that's his name. Walter Lankowski was another scientist trying to duplicate the gamma ray Hulk project, and he absorbed the gamma ray too much and became Sasquatch. So with Sasquatch, I really loved the Alpha Flight growing up. I thought Alpha Flight by John Byrne was absolutely fantastic. I remember as a kid reading Alpha Flight number 12 by John Byrne just blew my mind away. I thought the twist, the whole story, everything was just almost pitch perfect. And and it really, in my opinion, helped elevated the whole comic book as a storytelling medium because it really was an absolutely a brilliant story. And especially that twist at the end, it really completely just blew my mind away. Now, for those who don't know me, I'm a big Sasquatch nut. I love Sasquatch, UFOs, and dogmen, and all that stuff. So drawing Sasquatch from the Alpha Flight, I really got a kick out of it because I like to draw these big monsters, hulking monsters, and Sasquatch definitely fit the bill. So with everything, with that in mind, I start with the image in mind, and since the Sasquatch character was essentially a Canadian version of the Hulk to a certain degree, I decided to kind of give it that big hulking monster look. So you have basically, like a normal size head and this like massive bulk, massive muscular anatomy. So with him kind of stooped over a bit and about to come charging at you. So that's the image I had in mind, and decided to go with that. And so there I am drawing the teeth. So people like when they draw the teeth, they only draw the teeth where there is kind of like he's gritting his teeth, but you need to kind of change it up and have him have his mouth open. Um, so that's always fun having this different expression on these hulking monsters. So unlike the normal Sasquatch in real life, the Alpha Flight Sasquatch has this like a kind of a flat head, like almost like a roundish dome, while the Sasquatch in real life has I guess certain Sasquatch in real life has this kind of a like a peak, like a pointed head. And so a lot of the eyewitness and the real life Sasquatch stuff, they basically said that all the Sasquatches, or most of the Sasquatches, have this absolutely incredible, like a bodybuilder's build with no neck. So that's what I like to do. I like to kind of incorporate some of the real life eyewitness account of the Sasquatch into this drawing. Now, being a big Sasquatch nut, I'm sure you guys are asking what podcast do I listen to. Actually, the Sasquatch program that I listen to a lot is I think it was the Sasquatch Chronicles that I used to listen to, but recently I switched over to the Bigfoot Project on YouTube, and because that's just like a series of eyewitness accounts throughout the years, and it's actually a fascinating story. The recent one tells all the military soldiers throughout the years telling their eyewitness account of encountering Sasquatches during their training or in the army base that they're stationed at. So it's actually fascinating. So it's, you have your typical lot of Sasquatches in the Pacific Northwest, but there's also seemed to be the recent story that I listened to had like Sasquatches in the desert, which is like fascinating. And for whatever reason, the DoD, the Department of Defense, has a no kill order to not to kill the Sasquatches for reason unknown. Most likely because they're Department of Defense, so they're probably wanting to probably doing something with the Sasquatch just to create like some sort of super soldier or something. So there I am, just drawing the legs. With the Sasquatch, he has a there's a certain gorilla esque body language, and so I'm drawing the feet and the whole leg. I wasn't too happy with. I'm just kind of like fooling around with the foot right now because that back leg just looks kind of off. Now, if something looks off, then you just erase it and redraw it. And that's what I did. So this is a pencil stage. If something doesn't look right, just erase it and start over. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, the tricky part about drawing the Alpha Flight Sasquatch is he's just really hairy. And to draw hair, it's kind of a pain. There's a lot of erasing involved. So you'll see me throughout the whole video when I start drawing the hair, I'm erasing constantly, erasing the highlights, the different strands of hair to give it that extra hairiness, that realistic hair texture. So there I am tweaking the nose and the face. So the fascinating thing about the real life eyewitness Sasquatch encounters, they tend to look like a lot of the eyewitness said they tend to look like men. They look almost human. So with the it doesn't have that flat nose, exposed nostril like the gorillas, but they actually have like a hooded nose like human beings. So that's one of the key element when you draw a Sasquatch for the Alpha Flight. You kind of give it like kind of a human nose. So I read the Alpha Flight from issue number 1 through up, I think about like 25. Whenever John Byrne left, that's when I stopped reading it. And I thought Sasquatch was a very unique character. So I think, unfortunately, with a lot of the comic books, they jump the shark and it gets really absolutely confusing and convoluted. So I think with the Sasquatch character, I believe they kind of ruined it because they didn't say it wasn't a gamma experiment. Gamma. It was actually opened the door to a mystical realm where the spirit of the Sasquatch came through. So like, yeah. So after I stopped reading John Byrne's Alpha Flight, I read a little bit of the later ones, and then it was just too confusing. Pretty much like the X-Men story. I really love the X-Men up until when they started doing time travel and just rewriting history, and it just became an absolute mess. I think they start going downhill when they introduced Rachel, the future Phoenix, that came back to the current timeline, and then it just became I thought nonsensical and kind of confusing. So same with the Alpha Flight. I thought they kind of like really screwed the pooch on that in the later stories. So here I am drawing the muscles. Now, people ask me, how did I learn anatomy? And I used to lift weights. I wrestled in high school, and my coach really, well, forced us to lift weights. And then after a while, you just kind of get into weightlifting. And so I just remember I used to read a lot of Muscle and Fitness, Flex magazines, and just a lot of bodybuilding magazines, bodybuilding and magazine to kind of like learn different exercises to gain strength and mass and stuff like that. So that's why I learned to draw, understand anatomy in general, and also the biomechanics of the muscle, how it moves when it how it looks when it moves and stuff like that. So when people ask me how did you learn anatomy, I suggest you should kind of start working out, start lifting weights, and start looking at a lot of the bodybuilding magazines. So that really helped me understand the body mechanics and anatomy. And then going to nursing school, yes, I have a nursing degree. Going to nursing school kind of reinforced my already the knowledge of the anatomy in a more deeper level. So as I said before, just drawing the hair is always a kind of a pain. But if you do it right, it looks fantastic. And drawing the hand. The hand is fairly easy to draw once you kind of get used to it. give it a deep chest and the striation in the chest. Yeah, drawing the striation in the chest actually kind of give it that extra realism. Now the bodybuilder who I thought had a dynamite chest was Franco Colombo. He had this deep striation in his chest. And I believe he was one of the more stronger bodybuilder, one of the strongest bodybuilders in the field at that time, Franco Colombo. He was definitely stronger than Arnold. Well, I'm pretty sure someone's gonna ask me, who do you think is the best bodybuilder? I mean, it's pretty. It's like asking, who's your favorite. What's your favorite movie? It depends on I guess depends on your mood and all that. But I think, actually, there are several bodybuilders that I think got really shortchanged. I mean, Ron Coleman definitely is one of the best. But I thought Kevin Larone was should have won the Mr. Olympia back in the day. I mean, I thought his physique was just absolutely top notch, and I thought Flex Wheeler was another guy who was a absolute fantastic bodybuilder. So those two guys never won the Mr. Olympia, and they both should have won. And let's see. Oh, and another bodybuilder who was just absolute a monster was Danny Paladin. Danny Paladin or Palada. So he was a bodybuilder in the 1970s, and I thought overall his just aesthetically, this guy was just unreal. I mean, he was a short guy. That's the only reason why he lost, was he was just a short guy. But overall, he was the balance, the musculature of Danny Palada was absolutely second to none. Actually, the more I think about it, there's a lot of bodybuilders who really got shortchanged and was overlooked. Yeah, Kevin Larone and Flex Wheeler. I think those two guys, I think, definitely should have won the Mr. Olympia. I mean, look them up. They're actually their physique is absolutely stunning. And the funny part is when I'm drawing this, so there I'm adding all that hair. I'm actually listening to the Bigfoot Project program on YouTube, and they're talking about the military personnel, and I didn't realize there were all these Bigfoot encounters in Virginia, and the Quantico base, the Marine base, and also the FBI. That whole area is just completely densely forested, and there's apparently a Sasquatch, multiple Sasquatch encounters, and eyewitness by the soldiers, but the higher ups, Department of Defense, again told them to leave them alone. And another thing that goes hand in hand with the Bigfoot encounter is UFOs. So there seemed to be a direct connection between Bigfoots and UFOs, and it seems like the UFOs are also, I guess, doing something with the Sasquatches. I get the feeling there's like a weird treaty between the UFOs and the Department of Defense to leave the Sasquatch alone, because there's almost, I guess, they're protected by the UFOs. Um, yeah, and also yeah, definitely. I mean, the department, the more I think about it, the more I listen to all these podcasts and how they're completely hushed up by the government. Definitely, the Department of Defense are keeping the Sasquatch completely secret from the public. Try to keep it from public knowledge, which is kind of fascinating. So all these missing people in the big national parks, some of those definitely are Sasquatch encounters, and some of those are serial killers. So especially in Alaska, so it's either a serial killer or Sasquatch. The more I listen to it, because you have such a vast wilderness with only a very small number of law enforcement. So it really is. The Alaska is like literally a killing ground for serial killers, and same with the national park. The more the more I think about it and listen to all these like podcasts. Yeah, definitely listen to Missing 411. That is another program on YouTube that is actually fascinating. It's about a law enforcer, a retired law enforcer, enforcement officer, basically opening up, investigating all these like strange missing people cases, and they're just like really crazy and spooky. And so all of them, or most of them, happens in these national parks, and literally the person's there 1 minute and next minute they're gone. And so it's actually very fascinating. So drawing the leg, the quad, drawing more hair. I'm actually enjoying how this thing is coming out, turning out is as a very nice. There's a certain Hulk element to it, which is good because again the Alpha Flight Sasquatch is the Canadian Alpha Flight version of the Hulk. And drawing those feet. So if you know how to draw the hand, the feet, drawing the feet is pretty similar. So you should able to the anatomy of the feet should come really easy to you. So the light sources, I like to draw my light source from like if it's uh, if it's a clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock position, and so pretty much everything on top is lit, and then everything below that, especially the 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock position. I like to put all of that area in the shadows. It gives it that really nice 3 dimensional look. Now I start adding the background because just a Sasquatch just standing there in an empty space, it just looks a little odd. So, and also, like a lot of you guys asked me to draw background in some of these figures. And so drawing the fallen logs and stuff like that. The two artists that I really studied to draw the organic trees and foliage and mossy logs and stuff like that. The two artists that I really looked at and studied was Al Williamson and Frank Frazetta. Now those two guys can draw absolutely fantastic nature stuff. So I'm quickly drawing the background. Yeah, I'm not going into too much detail, but kind of give it the indication of the forest. So when you're drawing the background, especially the foliage and the leaves and trees and stuff like that, the texture is you should kind of focus on. Essentially, I'm kind of like graying everything out in the background, and then I'm gonna erase the graphite and give it, giving the outline of a tree, the trees and stuff like that. Just kind of rubbing the background and can kind of give it the more softer look, almost a misty look. And then I'm gonna take the eraser and just erase the trees in, give it the branches. Another artist who actually was a fantastic artist drawing organic stuff was Bernie Ricin. His Swamp Thing stuff was absolutely fantastic. Kind of dabbing and drawing little leaves. Yeah, so that's a quick way of just drawing, indicating forest in the background. So when I'm drawing branches and leaves and stuff, I really don't have anything planned. Is I just go with, I guess feeling is not the right word, but more like a compositional balance. So if something in the background, if it needs like a triangular shape, I just basically draw the log or the tree to kind of have this triangular shape. Or if it has like a vertical shape that's needed, and I actually just kind of draw the tree in a kind of a vertical shape. That's why I actually enjoy drawing leaves and just nature in general, because you have a lot more flexibility to do stuff like that and then make it still look organic and make it very real looking. But with mechanical stuff, it's tougher to do because you can't just put a random shape in the background because it needs it. Unless you're Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby was a master of that. He can just put in different shapes in the background and still make it work. Problem with drawing background is I tend to just noodle nonstop, and so I have to like, if left to my own devices, I would just keep going, just keep adding stuff to it, and then I have to basically I have to stop. I have to force myself to stop because I'll keep noodling it until it just looks until I ruin it. So erasing the highlights, giving the highlight in the hair, and then just the shadow underneath the head. So there I am, just erasing to give it that little bit of the vein. That's a very easy trick, just to erase out the how the vein will flow out. So there I'm adding the vein, fixing the vein. Yeah, I thought this thing turned out really nice. So yeah, I actually had a great time drawing this because since I'm a big monster guy, especially I love Sasquatches. Just reinforcing the outline and the shading, and there you have it, Sasquatch from the Alpha Flight.